As I sit here on the eve of, excuse me, on the eve of one of the greatest sporting events that we have in sports, you know, race and what's going on comes again. If this is to shed a light and continue to keep the conversation going on my behalf, then I'm okay with it. My family is safe. At the end of the day, they're safe, and that's the most important. But it just goes to show that that racism will always be a part of the world, a part of America. And hate, in America, especially for African American, is living every day. No matter how much money you have, no matter how famous you are, no matter how many people admire you, being black in America is tough, and we got a long way to go. For us as a society and for us as African Americans until we feel equal.
Shannon, what's your reaction?
I think people want me to be shocked. I think a lot of people were shocked, but I'm growing increasingly disappointed with this stain in American society that's been here since the first blacks were brought to America, and I think in Jamestown in 1619. So I'm disappointed. I'm not shocked. And I've said this before, Skip. I want to take this time now. Skip, we opened on September 6th. And we started talking about Colin Kaepernick, and you've allowed me to speak openly and honestly about the issue of race, not only in sports, but in America.
And you have spoken powerfully.
Thank you. I've said numerous times, the hardest job in America isn't being a professional athlete. It's not being a bullfighter or a matador or having some job that puts your life at risk. The hardest job in America is being black, because it's the one thing you can't outrun. See, Skip, I was born dirt poor, but I rose through the ranks because God gave me a talent. I cultivated it, and I rose up through the ranks. But even as I became more famous and more financially secure, guess what I still was? Black. Skip, I didn't have education. No one in my family graduated from college until my brother did, and then I did. So I wasn't as educated, but I got an education. But guess what I still was? I'm wealthy, I'm well off, I'm financially secure, I'm educated, but I'm still black. And that's how they see. See, even LeBron James, guy is famous beyond famous, makes $77 million a year. He's going to send 1,100 kids from the Akron area to college on his dime. But we still got to remind him, LeBron, I need you to hold down that now. But they still have to remind him, yeah, you famous. Yeah, you make a lot of money. You do great in the community. But don't you forget now, you see what I put on your gate. Skip, it's just what has happened, and we've seen an uptick in this race and these hate crimes since the beginning of the year. See, if you can convince someone that what you don't have is because of the guy next to you, he'll turn to resent you, even though that's not the case. But if you can convince him of that. See, when blacks say we just want be able to vote, we want health care, we want to be able to have, gainful employment. But they've convinced a segment of society that the things that the common black man deserves would be taken away from you. What did LBJ say? LBJ, London President Johnson says. He says, if you can convince the lowest white that he's better than the best black, you can pick his pockets clean. He said, hell, if you give him somebody to look down on, he'll empty his pockets for you. Skip, my grandfather died in 1977. I was 8 years old. I was 4 months from my 9th birthday. And I'm telling you this because everything my grandfather ever said, I can repeat verbatim. Skip, he said, and every time something like this happens in society, it's like, just pray it gets better. But let me tell you what he told me before he died. He said they pray for black folks, but they listen to and send money to white folk. That's how we do in America. It's sad. It's not getting better. And me not talking about it or we not discussing race, it's not going away. A person that has cancer can't go to his doctor. The doctor says, you know what? We're not going to talk about it and you'll be better in a couple of weeks. This is a disease. And you better start talking about it because we're seeing more and more. Now, we saw LeBron got the end. We saw the Smithsonian, the African American History Museum. They, for a second time in less than a week, they found 2 nooses. They found a noose on the campus of American University.
Yep.
Now, either that guy has a private jet to get from D.C. to L.A., or this is not isolated as we previously thought. At some point in time, we got to stop using the word isolated and realize that it's reigning racism in America, and it needs to be addressed.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate everything you just said and everything you have said since Undisputed has launched last September 6th. And the only positive to this latest incident is that it gives us another opportunity to address what appears to be a growing issue. Silly me, every once in a while I sit back, and I'm just a white guy, but I think, you know, maybe we have made a little progress in this country, a little. And then this happens, and that other thing happened, and you know all the other things that are happening, and our president happened, and all that happened. And it's hard on me because as a white guy, I don't know how to make it better. I try in my little way here on this show, just a little way, but it's the best I can do. But the one point that I'm going to make to you, we've had a lot of racial discussions on air, few off air, and you occasionally say to me, you got to watch those red states. Those are the ones you got to watch. I don't know if there's a bluer state than California, right? And I'm not sure there's a bluer neighborhood than that Brentwood neighborhood of Los Angeles, California, right?
Right.
So it even happened there. And look, I don't know who did this. It could have been a straight hate crime. It could be just pure evil. It also could, I'm just going to throw this out just to be objective about it. It could be some psycho Warriors fan just trying to distract LeBron on the eve of the NBA Finals. It could be, but I have no idea, just to keep some balance here. But I'm hard on LeBron in basketball terms, in the basketball context. But you know and I know that I have been nothing but supportive of him in this arena because LeBron has spoken up and spoken out and spoken as powerfully as you have spoken in his context, spoken beautifully yesterday on issues of social and racial stances that he is willing to take that very few superstars have been willing to take. This is the one area in which LeBron clearly eclipses the great Michael Jordan, because I did cover Michael, and I do know Michael, and he shied away from this area.
Yes.
And there's that classic quote that came out. It's reportedly he told a friend during the Jesse Helms crisis, and I don't want to get into all the gory details of it, but that, hey, Republicans buy sneakers too. And again, that's reported that he said it to a friend. He did not say that publicly.
Correct.
But Michael's stance was no stance, because I think I know him well enough to say that deep down, he didn't feel like he was qualified enough to speak on these issues. He didn't have quite enough passion to speak on these issues. And then again, in protecting his brands,
Correct.
he knew he had to be very careful if he stepped into that water, because that water can get real deep real fast.
Yes.
Because if you speak out, some people are going to say you weren't strong enough. And obviously there are going to be a whole lot of people who are going to say you were too strong. LeBron is fearless in this area.
Correct.
And I want to applaud him. I want to say bravo to LeBron James for stepping up, because he didn't need to do that. He didn't have to do that.
No, he could have said no comment and kept it moving.
Yeah, he didn't even have to say no comment. He could have just said, I'm not going to take any questions on this. Let's just talk basketball. And he seized yet another significant opportunity to make an incredibly significant statement yesterday. And I appreciate that, because that will resonate.